Media day number 2 at Cowboys OTAs has come to an end. Obviously, I'm not at OTAs. You're probably not either if you're not media credentialed for the Cowboys, but that doesn't mean we didn't get a lot of information from the Brian Schottenheimer press conference, from beat reporters being there at practice. We're just going to go through talking about what people saw, what it means for the Cowboys going into training camp, into the regular season, maybe what some of their plans are with some of these things. So let's not waste any more time and get into the video. Let's start with probably the biggest name in the Cowboys verse right now, outside of like Dak and CD, and that's George Pickens. Brian Schottenheimer, during his press conference, said that George Pickens has been doing an incredible job picking up the Cowboys system. He's catching up. He came in a little bit later than some of these other guys, acclimating, being at practice, being involved, really picking up on what the offensive coaching staff is asking him to do. And then Brian Schottenheimer brought up him and CeeDee Lamb have been getting along, their friendship, hanging out both on the field, off the field. Someone posted a picture of CD and Pickens on the jugs machine after practice. And then Brian Schottenheimer said that there was a play. It wasn't really anything George did. We hit him for a touchdown, like a little skinny post. CD was on the other side. CD was like, yes. Like we've been saying this entire time, no ego with Lamb, with Pickens. They both see themselves as wide receiver ones. They're both going to get theirs on this offense. There's no like, well, I'm better than him, and no competition. I think Lamb just realizes how much this is going to do for his game, for the Cowboys offense as a whole. I mean, we saw all last year of what it looked like when there wasn't a wide receiver 2 to help CD. So I think having Pickens there kind of gives this entire organization, especially the offensive side of the ball, some juice that they're actually going to be able to score points. Lamb knows that he's not going to be getting doubled every single time he steps out on the field. So it's good to see Pickens getting in there, mixing it up, learning the system, picking up on what Schottenheimer and Clayton Adams are asking him to do. And it seems like he's happy to be here, and he's on the right track. Then, another thing that Brian Schottenheimer said was about the Cowboys' former first-round pick, Tyler Guyton. 2024, they took Guyton, and he had played at that point at Oklahoma like 9 total games at right tackle. Before that, he was at TCU, and I believe he was a running back, and then he got moved to the offensive line, a guy that's really raw and unexperienced. But Schottenheimer was actually asked about Tyler Booker, and in that response, he somehow flipped it and was praising Tyler Guyton and how much work he's put in this offseason, how Clayton Adams, Connor Riley have been in there helping Guyton with some improvements for him in year 2. We know last year, came in, played in half of the games, a little less than half. Didn't look great in most of those, but he had played like 9 games in college, and then he comes into Dallas, has to flip to the left side, and he goes from blocking dudes at Oklahoma to blocking, Nick Bosa at left tackle or whoever. And of course, it didn't go great. Add in the fact that he was getting coached by Mike Solari, who continuously made the offensive line performance deteriorate over the years that he was here. Go back and watch the offensive line before Mike Solari, and then watch it in every year that he was the Cowboys offensive line coach. It progressively got worse. Last year with Guyton, when he first got to camp, was actually holding his own pretty well against Micah Parsons. Then in the preseason, he had a little bit of ups and downs. And then we got into the regular season, and I know it's not quite the same thing, but he just got even worse. I'm not blaming it all on Solari, but I don't think he was doing a whole lot to help his guys, but maybe having somebody like Connor Riley, who is a offensive line guru, and same thing with Clayton Adams being the offensive coordinator now, did pretty much all of his work with the offensive line. If there's going to be a coaching staff that can help a young offensive tackle that hasn't played a ton of games and is really just a ball of clay, no pun intended, I do think that is Clayton Adams and Connor Riley. So it's good to hear Schottenheimer expressing how excited he is and praising Tyler Guyton, really without being asked much about him. He went out of his way and said that. So that's good. And then I think Joe Hoyt of DLLS was talking about the linebackers. As we all know, the Cowboys actually added some pretty good resources to the linebacker position. They acquired Kenneth Murray in a trade from the Titans. Super high athletic floor for Kenneth Murray, just some of the vision, some of like seeing and reacting stuff, reading and reacting stuff can be a little hit or miss. They brought in Jack Sanborn, who was with Matt Eberflus in Chicago. Joe Hoyt of DLLS said the two linebackers that were running with the ones on defense were in fact Jack Sanborn and Kenneth Murray, which is interesting because I feel like, I know it's OTAs, we haven't got to camp, we haven't really got to see these guys fully, lay it out there, but as of right now, where the linebacker room was in 2023, especially with all the injuries, and then 2024 is kind of up and down, relying on Leofau and those guys, to see where it's at with Sanborn and Kenneth Murray does give me hope with the veteran presence, Matt Eberflus working with some of the younger guys and that linebacker room. So Deron Bland continued to do a lot of his work in the slot, including in the individual drills. And I think this is going to be where it gets interesting because Bland was playing in the nickel, but Kyer Elam and Andrew Booth were starting on the outside with Bland in the slot. Andrew Booth starting. That's not great. That's not great. I'm not super excited about the idea of Andrew Booth getting to start because you really need Bland in the slot. I think I would much rather see you try to fit in Ezeiruaku, keep Bland on the outside. And getting a little bit of a tangent here with the nickel cornerback position. I know it's valuable. I know Eberflus really likes it, the versatility, being able to tackle. But if you just look at the highest paid corners in the NFL and then the highest paid nickel corners of slot guys, the pay's not even close. Jordan Lewis is the highest paid at $10 million per year. Top paid corners in the league are in that $30 million. That kind of tells you the overall value of the position. I think you're going to get the most out of your defense having Bland on the outside. I think I would much rather have Bland on the outside and Mukuamu in the slot than Bland in the slot and Andrew Booth on the outside. We do have to remember this is OTAs. This is not day one starters. This is how it's going to go. But just a thought. We need to keep an eye on that, especially as we get into training camp with what they decide to do with Bland. He's kind of the domino that needs to fall. I think he would much rather be on the outside because his payday would be a whole lot more. But we're just going to have to really wait and see what the coaching staff plans to do. Let's talk about Donovan Ezeiruaku. I believe it was Joe Hoyt again said that he saw Ezeiruaku doing some off-ball work as well as pass rusher stuff, and they had Ezeiruaku pretty much dropping back into coverage, playing an off linebacker type role, which is interesting. He's a pass rusher, like you probably want to put him on the line of scrimmage and let him just go after the quarterback. Maybe it's just something they're trying out. Obviously, we don't really know yet. It's OTAs, there's no videos, just a couple still shot pictures here and there, but I did think that was interesting and worth noting in this video. And then for the final note was the defensive end and defensive tackle rotation. Someone said there was a heavy rotation across the board with the first team defensive tackles and edges. If you have a ton of pass rushers, rotate them in and out. Keep those guys fresh. Guys like Dante Fowler, Marshawn Nealon, Peyton Turner, Donovan Ezeiruaku, all of them got time at end. Not everyone in that room is going to hit their absolute ceiling, but if you can find a nice rotation, I think it could look a lot like what Dallas had in 2023. I think it was against the Vikings where they were just rotating pass rushers in on every single down, and then by 3rd and 10, 3rd and 11, you just had fresh pass rusher after fresh pass rusher just going at those tackles. It will be interesting to see how they use Dante Fowler, someone that's been more of a package guy. Like you don't play down in and down out, mainly just a third down specialist. They gave him a good bit of money. I don't think they paid him like a third down specialist. And then obviously Donovan Ezeiruaku being a little undersized, Marshawn Nealon being sort of that run-stuffing DeMarcus Lawrence type that maybe won't get after the quarterback like a Micah Parsons or an Ezeiruaku. And then the final note was rookie defensive tackle Jay Toia took a couple of reps with the first team unit at defensive tackle, which as thin as that group is, it being OTAs, does it necessarily mean a ton? Probably not. But I know some people that had a 4th, 5th round grade on Toia, thought he was a better player than where the Cowboys got him in the 7th round. Maybe the coaching staff likes what they've seen as far as effort, knowing his job, knowing where to go. So that concludes today's notes on the second media day at Cowboys OTAs. A little bit different kind of video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. I'll see you guys tomorrow. I think the media will be back out there tomorrow, so we'll get even more information. Thank you for watching. I love you all, and I'll see you next time.